Our hearing today is to discuss technology standards and practices to ensure safer deepwater and ultra-deepwater drilling. A wide range of technological innovations have allowed the industry to venture into ever deeper waters to produce the massive reserves of oil and gas found there. Admittedly, the payoff of pushing the technology envelope is enormous, and for the foreseeable future, we are likely to be reliant on fossil fuels, though I hope we will gradually and as soon as possible reduce that reliance for a host of reasons. But the Deepwater Horizon tragedy proved that in a high-stakes game, poor judgment and faulty equipment can bring unimaginable consequences. It's precisely because this incident occurred at 5,000 feet of water that we are discussing an ongoing spill 64 days after it began. Committee staff and I just returned from visiting the Deepwater Horizon response efforts in the Gulf. And I want to pay my respects to the people down there who are working so hard. They are working 24/7 in extremely difficult conditions. We spent 2 days doing flyovers on the ground, on the water, met with them, and I asked a group of folks in an integrated command system, what can we do to help? And the first thing that was interesting was they looked at me like I was from Mars, and they said, are you serious? Because we're not used to politicians asking how we can help. Usually what you do is get off an airplane, make a bunch of critical comments, and get back on the airplane. And what they said, the single most important thing we can do is tell the public about the good work that is being done, not in any way to minimize the enormity of the spill or the loss of the human life or the consequences for the environment. But people are doing all they can. Every branch of government virtually is represented down there. All branches of uniformed services are there with their assets, 30+ thousand people. It's 100+ degrees out there, and they're working very, very hard in dangerous conditions with shifting weather and a challenging and unpredictable adversary in the form of the oil. And they're doing some really remarkable work in what is the largest recovery and restoration effort in the history of humankind. And they deserve our admiration and respect and appreciation. And it is time, I think, for all of us in the Congress to get past sort of the blame game, that we need to understand it. But the goal really is to try to solve the problem for the future, and that's the purpose of this hearing. And I think it's important to say that it's not only the federal agencies, and we met with NOAA, NIMS, Coast Guard, EPA, MMS, but also BP's got a lot of folks down there, and they're working hard and doing a good job. And I'm proud to say a lot of folks from many of our states are there. I met Texans, I met Washingtonians, I met Michiganders and people from the D.C. area. Every state in this country's got people down there working, and they deserve our appreciation. And my personal goal is that at some point soon, we will have, if they're still insisting on having the spill image up, that right beside that is an image of the recovery and restoration efforts, because those deserve equal credit, and that's where the real human beings are working really hard on the surface of the water and on the shores. Having said that, our charge today, however, is to understand the technological advances and best practices to ensure that drilling in the deep water can be done, if it is to be done, with minimal risk to workers and the environment. Operational safety, or operating safely in such extreme environments, entails immense engineering and technological challenges, the complexity of which is encountered in few other human endeavors. The technological expertise that for drilling at these depths appears to reside almost solely right now with the private sector. And in the hyper-competitive field of energy, the industry is rightfully guarded about sharing information and collaborating on proprietary technological development. But safety interests are universal, and we lost 11 lives in this instance. We must now ask ourselves if the Deepwater Horizon tragedy calls for us to reevaluate the government's role in the development of accident prevention and mitigation technologies and in industry best practices. And I would assert here as well that I would hope shareholders will pay attention to this, instead of just asking what our return on investment is and what's the latest reservoir. I hope shareholders will start asking, you know, it is consequential to our market value if we have a spill, and the people of BP have learned that the hard way. But it's rare that shareholders look at the quarterly reports with a careful eye to what's being done on safety and accident prevention. I hope they'll start, and corporate boards will be a lot more attentive to that. It should not be the sole responsibility of the Congress.